protests he led throughout the American South were often met with violence. Nonetheless, Dr. King and his supporters were persistent and the movement gained momentum. Dr. King was a powerful orator. He appealed to Christian and American ideals and won growing support from the federal government and Northern White. In 1963, Bayard Rustin and A. Philip Randolph led the massive march on Washington for jobs and freedom. The event's grand finale was King's famous "I Have a Dream" speech. 250,000 people gathered outside the Lincoln Memorial to hear the stirring speech. In 1964, the civil rights movement achieved two of its greatest successes: the ratification of the 24th Amendment, which abolished the poll tax, and the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which prohibited racial discrimination in employment and education and outlawed racial segregation in public facilities. In the same year, King became the youngest person to win the Nobel Peace Prize. In the late 1960s, King openly criticized U.S. involvement in Vietnam and turned his efforts to winning economic rights for poor Americans. He was a leader of the American civil rights movement and organized a number of peaceful protests as head of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, including the March on Washington in 1963. He was assassinated in Memphis, Tennessee on April 4th, 1968.
It's been 3 decades of statehood in Yobe State, coupled with steady growth and development in all areas. A decade-long Boko Haram insurgency has also hampered the steady rise to greatness in the pride of the Sahel. But it's time for continuity, consolidation, and innovation in Yobe State. Watch as Governor Mai Malabuni builds on progress made by past administrations and breaks new grounds with fresh projects and programs on Impact Yobe. Impact Yobe on Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. and Thursdays 12:30 p.m. on TVC News. Join us.
Have you been thinking of where to acquire knowledge without stress and inconvenience? Then what are you waiting for? The National Open University of Nigeria is the place to be. For up-to-date information about the National Open University's programs and activities, join me, Lulu Bankong, on NOUN Update, showing on this station every Friday at 12:30 p.m.
The National Assembly is a busy place. As the bastion of democracy, it is a place where bills are presented, motions debated, laws made, and the yearnings of the people are laid bare. Come with us as we take you through the workings of the National Assembly. We take you through plenary, committee meetings, and probes, all to ensure smooth working of the democratic process.
Information is power, information is security, information is knowledge. On Labor Lens, we believe that working people around the world have real questions of their own. They want to know how the world of work operates, what it means to the employer of labor, how policies affect workers in the workplace. On Labor Lens, I ensure we engage effectively the organized labor, organized private sector, and government to get out of them information workers are in need of. I am Sharon Ijason, asking questions that make you get sense of the workplace.
Politics is defined as getting what, where, when, and how. But in the mix, many things come to play to shape the political fortune of any country.
Honorable Minister, that's how you misinform the public.
From the political actors to the electorate, campaign to voting, from debates to policy decisions, big events happen to engage us in constant conversation.
That's what we're looking for. Not some people who are talking about ethnicity. No.
Who is on your mind?
Don't worry.
Join me every day on Politics Tonight, where we dissect issues that shape our political destiny. Politics Tonight, weekdays on TVC News.
There is always more to a story than the screaming headline. The part of a story that is not told casts a shadow. It's like the part of an object that is not reached by light. On TVC News, I'm able to explore the many angles there are to a story, talking to stakeholders, asking the difficult questions, and digging for facts. I believe the viewers are able to make a better decision if they're well informed and understand not just a part, but the complete story. TVC News, first with breaking news.
What is better than your view on weekdays? Your view on the weekend. Something special, something more. We have an extra dose of premium television experience. Your Saturday is about to get upgraded with more engagement, information, and special moments.
Let me speak pidgin. English is a problem. Don't see your parents finish. Yes. I don't know another English. Do you want to know?
Join us from Saturday, the 15th of April, 2023 at 9 a.m. for the weekend edition of Your View. Join the intelligent, dynamic, inspiring, and fearless ladies of Your View as they have the difficult conversation,
the thuggery and intimidation,
breaking down barriers and defining the narrative. Save the date as we count down to the weekend edition of the most exciting talk show on Nigerian television.
At TVC News, wherever the big news story is happening, we're geared up to break it. TVC News, first with breaking news.
Well, good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am YORI FOLARIN. Sorry for coming a bit late. Well, we're hearing that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is scheduled to be to meet with the governor in Ogun State. More on that later, as soon as we know a bit more on this. But in the meantime, our guest is Honorable SMA Eyibo. He is a former member of the National Assembly, in fact, former spokesman, and he represented Eket Federal Constituency of Akwa Ibom State. A fine morning to you, Honorable.
My brother, Barakatu Salah, and I'm glad to be with you in a day like this.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for being there. You know, it's a new administration, and we're continually looking at, you know, ways in which this is important to all of us, and especially the National Assembly is going to be a key part of all of that. Now, the legislative agenda for the National Assembly is, you know, we wanted to take your perspective on it. You've been in there and see what your idea is on the role that this National Assembly, headed up, where he's the chairman of the National Assembly by Senate President Akpabio, what you expect from it in terms of syncing with the party programs, the party, you know, philosophy of your joint party.
Well, thank you very much for the question. And I want to believe that you know as well as I do that the success of the current 10th National Assembly is going to be predicated on the leadership recruitment process. And the leadership has been properly recruited. It has been the process of the recruitment was very transparent, it was very credible, and of course, inclusive. And to that extent, what is left now, the next step, is the harmonization of the various interests, the harmonization of the value, and the kind of National Assembly, particularly Senate, the kind of Senate that all the senators, by their own contemplation, want to leave behind. What kind of Senate do they want to bequeath to the Nigerian people? If you ask me, and without confirming from them, from the population of the senators that I know a lot of them very well, and they're very strong men, and they're institutional builders, and they're team builders, they are peace builders. I can conclude that the perspective of the Nigerian Senate is the one they want to bequeath to Nigerian people, which will be value-driven, which will be dominated by harmony, which, of course, they would dethrone the sentiment of political parties, ethnicity, and regionalism. And to the extent of all of that, we are going to have a very productive and yielding Senate. And I think this case is the kind of leadership they have. Akpabio is not Senator Godswill Akpabio, His Excellency the President of the Senate. He's a very experienced person who is running a race of history. A race of history, usually it is not run by a champion, but run by a man who sets out, to establish and leave behind legacies. So Akpabio falls within the realms of history men who like to leave legacies wherever he finds himself. And with that kind of mentality, it's a business mentality. It's a mentality that yields profits. The profit in the governance that will be yielded in the course of this mentality of managing the Senate will be a positive impact on the Nigerian people. So, without prophesying, without imagining anything less, Akpabio's, the National Assembly under Senator Godswill Akpabio's watch is going to be, I think, the best by all estimations in terms of institutional integrity, in terms of legislative activities, in terms of legal framework for all purposes. So I am seeing that, and with the kind of mentality the president, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is bringing into governance, the objective of
Well, as you know, he does that from time to time. So sorry about that. There you go. It's opened up again.
Of democracy. Are you hearing me now?
Yes, now.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, we're good now. We're good. We're good.
He has said his tenure, the president has said his tenure is going to witness peace.
Well, it happened again in a different way. The first time it froze, now it hasn't frozen, but it ceased the audio. However, if you're just joining us this second, our guest is Honorable Eseme Eyibo. When he was in the National Assembly, Federal House of Representatives,
those in the minority who are feeling uneasy about the leadership of the National Assembly on reasons of regions or reasons of religious bigotry or reasons of ethnicity to, upload and derobe themselves of that garment and now come out. Nigeria is a new era now, an era where opportunities and growth will be promoted. And honestly, that is what the Nigerian people are looking for and expected. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Now, the National Assembly is it is a legislative house. It's governed by rules, procedures, processes. When you think about that, and more than half, I hear, of the National Assembly members are rookies, so to speak. That is first-time members. And because you lost so many hands, and people have commented that, look, the way we do our elections sometimes, now a lot of hands did not come back, highly experienced, maybe highly trained, if self-trained. Does that concern you at all, that the National Assembly is going to be peopled largely with people who are just beginning the terms?
Well, it's like somebody having a PhD. PhD is a course of study. But learning is what gives a man earning. If you want to earn in this life, you have to learn to earn. But somebody can have a PhD, as a matter of fact, in legislative studies, and that PhD, you may end up not earning a living because that study is not enough. So learning is very important. What I'm trying to say, therefore, is that we will be able to earn we'll be able to earn the expected yield from the legislature if the legislators themselves are ready to learn. So
okay,
that people...
I beg your pardon, Honorable. I beg your pardon for interrupting you, but the president, you know, he's just landed in Abeokuta, and the Governor Dapo Abiodun had been standing by. So it has happened. So Ijebu-Ode, I understand. Sorry about that, Ogun State, but Ijebu-Ode. Just to bring that to you, he's landed a few moments ago. It's not live picture, but just a couple of moments ago, he's landed. Just to bring that into perspective.
Keep a distance. Maintain a distance.
So here we are now. He's swinging. He's back to work. So, but of course, the news on TVC will keep you updated on that per second, as we say. Honorable SML Yibo, there we're back here now. The president has just landed in Ogun State in Ijebu-Ode. You saw the pictures. We had to make note of that. So please go ahead. You were explaining, or give me your impressions on, you know, studies, and you know, you get better when you study a thing and all of that.
We need not bother ourselves about what actually went wrong, whether the recruitment process was faulty or whether political sentiment expressed. Sure that we learn. Learning is every day. Learning must be done by everybody. You cannot earn a living. You cannot earn without learning. So it's not enough to say I hold a PhD in my field of study. You may earn a PhD, you may have a PhD in your field of study, but you may not be able to earn what will be able to create the expected impact. So I urge respectfully on the senators, mostly the new senators who have come in, to look beyond juicy committees, to look beyond endless politics, and now begin to look at harmonization of what is expected of them as senators, as espoused in the Constitution, and the expectations of the people in the senatorial constituencies that are represented. If they begin to see themselves as ambassadors of their people, and of course agents of change of the nation, they will be able to distract themselves from the unnecessary sentiment of juicy committees. Oh, this one, like yesterday, I read in the front page of one of the national papers, national newspapers, where they said some senators are getting angry that the Senate President, Akpabio, have appointed two principal officers for his office, personal aides. And the sentiment was that, look, one's supposed to come from the north, one's supposed to come from south. You couldn't have. For goodness sake, those are not issues of any national discussion. Because a chief of staff, for example, is a personal staff. So what kind of presidency, what kind of Senate president, in my opinion, does Akpabio wants to be? What kind of Senate does he want to leave behind for the Nigerian people? And that should be able to inform his recruitment process of the quality and caliber of staff he required, without necessarily disregarding, national unity. He's a unifier. So I expect that he should be able to recruit personnel, especially chief of staff, should be able to recruit personnel who understands his objective, who understands his prescriptions of governance, who understands his body language at every time. So when once the chief of staff understands that, he will be able to supervise and drive the other members of staff to be able to meet the core mandate of the appointment. So it is very irrational and it's very, very diminishing for somebody to now begin to talk about the issue appointing a chief of staff and deputy chief of staff that it will have reflected federal character. That is absolutely wrong.
Indeed.
In the House of Representatives, I want to give you an example.
Sure.
The Speaker has recently consulted all his staff and aides, and of course, 80%, if not more, of those appointments are coming from one section of the country, and one faith or the other. Then people are not complaining because these are his personal aides. So it is strange that Senator Godswill Akpabio, the Senate President, has just appointed only 2 persons. And this kind of sentiment is gaining this level of distractions. I am appealing to those who are promoting such pervasiveness to please begin to look at the issue of governance as being prime and more important to the people of this country than politics. Politics has ended. The vehicle of the value-driven, the special purpose vehicle for governance has just commenced. The president has hit the ground running. We need the legislature that will be able to complement the efforts of the presidency so that the Nigerian people will now be able to benefit from the symphony of the economic orchestra, which of course the current federal government is going to play for Nigerian people.
You know, I'm very happy that you went to this particular area of it, because it is a fact that sometimes we are obsessed by these matters that you've spoken about. Whereas they are important, there is a sense, however, in which you've expressed it excellently, where it begins to be counterproductive. It's not that it's not important.
And distracting.
And distracting, exactly. So this is where the Nigerian people are going to be looking up to the National Assembly as their representatives, the ambassadors, as you said, both the senators and the reps people, because Nigeria is in for some times. In this time, the president has said that, look, the challenges are indeed bearable. Nobody is saying it's going to be a walk in the park, but the people will expect that they're going to have the National Assembly on their side in the sense that it's all, even the presidency is working for the Nigerian people. So they will expect the National Assembly to do no less so. So how do you think that is going to be handled? Because, look, we have the fuel price crisis. It's not seen as a crisis by the executive because they've dealt with it, but we are now dealing with it. That is, the ordinary people are now dealing with it. They say that there are other issues. I think there's the whole matter of the tariff. There are all these issues that will bring temporary hardships on the people. And so the people, what do you think the disposition of the National Assembly is going to be? Because these are going to be real issues to them. We understand that.
When I started as part of my preamble, I did mention about the issue of the harmonization of purpose here. And I did mention that the special purpose vehicle to trigger economic prosperity and growth of this nation has already been put in place by the president, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But what is expected, the non-state actors, the unelected representative of the people, that is the Nigerian press, they are the unelected representative of the Nigerian people. And we expect the Nigerian people to now begin to monitor what their respective senators are doing.
Yes.
Poverty in this country has no sign of Christianity or no sign of Islam. Poverty is from the south to the north, from the east to the west. And that is in uniformity and is growing in strength and dimension. Poverty I'm talking about. And the only way to intervene in this poverty is our representatives, who are our ambassadors, and also the change agents. Government is ready to create a change. The president is saying that.
Sorry to interrupt you. Sorry to interrupt you, Honorable. Mazi Okoroafo has called into the program in Arochukwu. Good morning, Mazi.
Good morning, Sayori. Good morning, Honorable Ibo. You see, Mazi Okoroafo from Arochukwu. You see, the issue of people complaining about the Akpabio-Led personal age. I don't know what is wrong with Nigeria. These are people that is going to work one-on-one with him. These are people who will be seeing one-on-one. That is the people who knows him very well, people he knows very well. People who knows when he wants to move out or when he's coming back. So I don't think people should be looking at that very angle. Allow him to appoint whosoever he wants to appoint, irrespective of religion, tribe, I don't know. Now, the issue is that I want to find from the Honorable Ibo, this issue of a minority leader in the Senate. Wike has his own faction, Atiku has his own faction. And the thing is glamoring, is hitting very well. You see, not the responsibility of the opposition party to sit down within themselves, decide who will be their own minority leader. But see an outsider that will dictate for them. You see, sometimes I ask that. If politicians will ask, did they go to school at all? Or just they sit down, Johnny just come, or Johnny just carry go. I don't know. Because you have to make this objective. You want to be independent. To be independent, not be attaché. Good morning.
Okay, okay.
Yes, Amatri, I really appreciate that your contribution. But let me tell you something. The issue of minority or majority, the election of the majority leader or the leader of the house is simpler because it's just one political party. But that of the minority leader, you have the PDP, you have Labour Party, you have SDP, you have Zenith Party, you have Young Progressive, YPP, and all of that. So all this, in every corner of this political party, you have very strong capital, human capital, that will be able to drive the leadership. So let us not begin to create on. You know, we are living in a country where some people believe that they have grown to a point they become bigger than the institution. They begin to create the impression that without them, the institution cannot work. We should go past that.
Okay.
And allow the
sorry, Honorable. Let me go on. Honorable, good. So sorry, sir. Let me go on a break so that I don't have to interrupt you anymore. And then as soon as we come back, we'll pick it up from where you left it just now.
It's not your regular show. It's an online interactive session where we share my views on the everyday issues that cut across politics, security, health, current affairs, governance, and so much more. I am passionate about our country. I choose to support any conversation geared towards building a better Nigeria. I am Babajide Kolade Otutoju. Join me every Saturday on TVC News YouTube channel as I discuss Nigeria and the world at large on the show, Issues with Jide.
Okay, welcome back. Our guest is Honorable S.M. Eyibo. He's a former spokesperson. He's the former spokesperson. He was a spokesperson in his time in the House of Representatives. And now we're looking at the legislative agenda for the National Assembly. And in the meantime, a call has come in from, where did we get that call from? Mukhtar. Mukhtar has called in. Good morning to you, Mr. Mukhtar. Mukhtar calling in from Kano. Good morning to you, sir. Are you there? Mukhtar in Kano.
Good morning. Good morning.
Oh, good morning. We've been on for precious seconds. Please go ahead now, sir.
Yeah, I will say good morning, Uncle Yori. How are you doing?
Very well, sir. Good morning, sir. Thank you for calling in.
Yes, as far as your topic is concerned, the legislative agenda for Akpabio, I think the agenda is 2 or 3. All the National Assembly are subservient to the executives. Yes, all the National Assembly are subservient to the executives. They don't do what is right for the people. They just become rubber stamp whatever the presidency wants. So we have seen enough. We have had enough. So what are they doing? They are the representative of the people. They don't protect the interests of the people. They don't intervene in crises which affect the populace of Nigerians. So it's the same agenda. It's the same agenda. I can't understand. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much. Well, Mukhtar, calling in from Kano State. Well, Honorable, you heard it.
Mukhtar, I want to tell you something. It is very unfair for you to use the past siege mentality to visit on the present Senate, because the Senate has not even started. It's resuming on the 4th of July. And for you to now begin to talk about rubber stamping now, it's highly speculative.
But maybe,
thinking that,
okay, Honorable, if that is so, maybe we could turn it around, because if he's looking at what went on in the past, do you feel optimistic that this is a different house now, this 10th Assembly?
I can bet you, from the quality of the membership of the current Senate, from the quality, that is, the current Senate is dominated by men and women of capacity, pedigree, and experience, and is led by a man who is not desirous to become a champion, a man who is running a race of history. Dr. Akpabio is running a race of history, to the extent that he wants to serve as a connecting rod between the people and the government. He has already started doing that at the personal level. And we should give the current Senate the benefit of the doubt. The issue of rubber stamping does not arise.
You know,
the federal government has just... I just want to give you a point here.
Okay, please.
Sir?
Please, sorry. Go ahead.
For the benefit of Mukhtar, the federal government have just said no to fuel subsidy. The inflow from the withdrawal of that fuel subsidy, the president has said he's going to invest it into infrastructure, going to invest it into education, going to invest it into health. He has already shown sufficient integrity by signing into law the Students' Loan Act. He has started reform, the reunification of the exchange rate and reform of the central bank, which of course we need to have a proper financial system. In all of this reform and effort, an electricity act, which is going to bring, we're going to have an inflow of foreign direct investment. So if you want to put this together, you now need the human asset that will be able to roll out constructive engagement with the executive. And this is going to be done by a Senate whose leadership is already aware of the burden of the people and its own responsibility to make sure that they oversight whatever the executive is doing. So the issue that people expect the legislature from day one to begin to quarrel and fight with the executive, that is a needless activism. We are no longer in activism. We are in democracy. And democracy has set a ground rules for separation of powers and, of course, for checks and balances. That can only happen when the issue is thrown up there. And where is the people in all of this? There are always rooms for committees, for oversight, for various legislative activities. The people should now be able to learn to participate in this process, you know.
Yes,
so
indeed.
Doing this, we all have a responsibility.
Yes. In fact, I was going to say, when people talk, when we talk about, in conversations in Nigeria, when we talk about this rubber stamp phenomenon, whether state legislature or the National Assembly, I think people really mean that in the sense of a policy that they probably think is not necessarily for their benefit. It probably is self-serving, and so that they would, quote unquote, rubber stamp it. For example, to make an example of the ridiculous, just for to understand it. You know, if the National Assembly were to come up with a position where every Nigerian should now be paid, indeed a wage that will take him home, that will feed him and his family, and that will leave some over for savings, it must be done like that. You know, if the National Assembly were to agree, I don't think anybody would call that a rubber stamp because it favors the people.
Let me also put this across to you. For example, the president, the inflow from the withdrawal of the fuel subsidy.
Yes.
That is being put into either the building or the rebuilding of the refineries, or certain policies of government that will make fuel supplies uninterrupted and affordable, that will be able to provide hospitals at various constituencies of this country, that will be able to give an average Nigerian child who has graduated from school opportunity to compete with his peers anywhere in the world. Do you still consider such a collaboration between the legislature and the executive as being rubber stamping?
Exactly.
So
you're very right.
It's not the issue of...
it's only when people feel that it is not in their interest, but it is self-interest, which I think you said at the top of the program, legislators have to eschew and, become, more.
Let me give you one example. Some years ago, in the state I come from, it is a great opportunity and a great fortune that I am from Akpabio State. Akpabio inherited a state where everybody who is looking for a housemate will come and pay 50,000 and carry a young school child who's supposed to go to school to go and do babysitting outside the state over the years. So you will know, and that is the truth. Everybody knew Akpabio State as that state that you can easily go for babysitting.
Okay.
I mean, go and pick a child who will come and do that. But immediately he came in as a governor. He was not giving money. He provided infrastructure. He provided a model city where people were able to apply their potentials and compete. Whether you were singing, you were playing, you were a chorister, you were a student, whatever. So at some point, education became free. So everybody was compulsory, free and compulsory. If you go to Akpabio today, you are going for either tourism or you are going the Super Six. The Super Six football have just finished. One of the centers of the Akpabio have just finished. We have the best stadium. We have a lot of activities citizens are participating in. You have good hotels. Look at our airport. Ibom A is one of the best in this country. That is transformative leadership.
Mm-hmm.
This is the kind of leadership we want to see in Nigeria. And that as a result of a collaboration between the various arms of government to be able to agree on an objective that will benefit the people. So when government is said to be business, what it means is that it's going to yield profit. The profit in government is the attendant positive impact on the people as a consequence of government policies and activities. So if God's will and Asiwaju Tinubu are bringing that to executive and the legislature, Nigeria are in for the best of profit they ever imagined in government. All what I'm asking is we should give our leaders the benefit of the doubt.
Indeed.
We should dethrone. We have worship. We have gone on religious tourism. We've gone to Jerusalem. We have gone to Mecca to pray, and all what we are doing. And every year, poverty is rising by the day. And we keep using the politics of religion, the politics of ethnicity. We keep using these things to distract governance. And who suffers for it is the majority of the people in the population.
Indeed.
Why should an individual, when I heard Mazi, when he was talking, he said something about a faction trying to produce minority leader in the Senate. Why should individuals constitute themselves into behemoth of monstrous proportion? The institution should be allowed, the process. No individual represents all those political parties. So those people should be allowed. They are matured and they are senators as a matter of right by procedure and standard they have reason to elect their minority leader, but not to go and open up a box and bring out somebody who believes that he's greater than the institution.
Okay.
And most of these people are beneficiaries of bad governance. They are products of corruption. You know, so we should depart from the past and allow the system to be process-driven. And of course, the National Assembly, other members of the National Assembly have the right and of course the prerogative and discretion with judgment to be able to determine who should be their leader. You know, they all know each other. They know those people who are coming. They know there are a lot of mercantilist politicians. And most of these mercantilist politicians are coming back with that mentality. And the Siwaju Ahmed Tinubu have said that Nigeria is no longer business as usual. Nigeria has transited from business as usual, yes, to value addition. And Godswill Obodo Akpabio, I can tell you, you like to take it. What Godswill Akpabio is to the Nigerian legislature is a function of supplements to the human body. So is a supplement, is a balanced diet that will be able to put together a legislature that everybody in the legislature is going to be impressed. The next problem I'm envisaging is going to be when they release the committees. A lot of people will say, oh, I am not put in the proper committee, and the committee that are putting me is not juicy. Individuals should be able to learn and raise their capacity. That people have elected them. They should be able to cultivate the value addition into their lives. And if you are given a committee, you should turn the committee around to make it juicy.
It's a very controversial area because I was even surprised. Yes. So it is true then that among themselves, the honorable and distinguished legislators, they actually talk about those things. I thought those were things from the outside. Why would a person be looking for a juicy committee?
No.
What does juicy mean?
It's a perception. It's a perception. It's a perception. And usually it's a creation of minds that are deceased, you know, in bad governance. It is a perception created by minds that are deceased in bad governance. Because a good guy who is ready to serve should be able to turn Committee Z to Committee A. You know, so it depends on your capacity. You have not even resumed there because you saw when the other man was the chairman and so many things were done, were turned around and all of that. You want to go and inherit. It's no longer business as usual.
Okay.
Bring your capacity to the table, yes.
And this is probably going to test a lot of the people that we have just elected into the National Assembly. The quality, if it is no longer business as usual, there are, I mean, the functions of the National Assembly are many and varied. You know, on the one hand, we have this situation where people are, on the one hand, we have the situation that we've been talking about, relations between them and the executive, but there are also many other functions. For instance, lawmaking itself, that's another important function. Lawmaking, actually sponsoring.
The current Senate and the current National Assembly, the law they have is that Godswill Obodo Akpabio is the chairman of the National Assembly and president of the Senate. Godswill is very constructive. Godswill is very development conscious. Godswill understands the foundation, understands the prescription, understands the intention and objective of democratic jurisprudence to the extent that he can dictate where capacity is suffering.
Okay.
He can observe where there is deficiency. And he can cover up that gap immediately by either training or putting together a program that will be able to raise the weak to become strong. Because the issue, the issue some people suffer is the issue of that self-identity, the deficit of self-identity. And when once they begin to feel that deficit, it affects their productivity.
Okay, let me bring on Usman. Usman has called in from Auchi. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Usman in Auchi. Go ahead, please.
So I'm so happy with your discussion, and I'm at the same time so pleased with the gentleman on the television that telling us a lot of things about the government of Nigeria today. The problem that is really befalling us is that, like he rightly said, is that we are, most of our candidates in the House of Assembly, they see purpose at the same time. They are bigger than the institutions which brought them there. These are the problem befalling us. But if they look very well, look inwards, that in Nigeria people need them, mostly because they are the first-class citizens. If they look very well, the Nigerian people that the Nigerian people are after, they watch them and they want them to make the success of this country to be for every one of them, because they themselves, luckily enough for them, they are not too, they are okay. But the average Nigeria is suffering. So these are the things they should look inward, so that they should know how to legislate, so that Nigeria should grow very well within the present government. Because the present government are taking the necessary steps. As they are taking the necessary steps, we believe that within the few times ahead, maybe 1 or 2, 3 years, we'll go to the promised land. So this is what Nigeria wants. Because Nigeria is a land of honey and milk.
Yes.
They should protect it for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Usman, calling in from Auchi. Did you want to react to that? Please go ahead if you wanted to, sir.
Okay. I wanted to assure Usman that he said the promised land. We are already in the promised land. The kind of leadership we have now in the federal government. In 1963, the Daily Times of 1963, about November, procrastinated in his editorial about the future of Nigeria in 70 years. But we are not yet in 70 years. Those things the editorial intended and indeed captured are here with us. Asiwaju Ahmed Tinubu was an architect, he was a driver, he was a cultivator. He was the man, the strategist behind the protection and preservation of democracy through the wing of Nadeko. And this is the first time that Nigeria is producing a president with a business mentality. A man who is a businessman, who comes to government with a business mentality, understands the risk in profit and loss. That's business. So the mentality is coming. Immediately he assumed duties. He took certain decisions that he would take a feeble-minded person that even the angels, 4 years to take. He took those decisions.
And that's where one can get in a bit of a comment, in the sense that, look, if President Tinubu, he has hit the ground running, as people have been saying, full of admiration, you've just said it, he's a technocrat, he's a business-minded person. But I think more importantly is that we have now learned, those of us that didn't know before, that actually President Tinubu has been preparing for this office, for this job, you know, close to 3 decades. And the quality and caliber of people coming in, one just hopes that they too didn't just find themselves in there by chance and by luck, that they too had been working on it and were actually prepared and are able to, if not match, but at least be in that same, because things can just be dropped in your lap, I imagine. And now if you have people who, you know, fortune dropped in their laps and they're working with people who are prepared for, you know, they are over 2, 3 decades, you get where I'm going here. One just hopes that we have that caliber of people. Because if a person just, because of his influence, because of his connections, got a job that doesn't know what to do with it, apart from warm the chair in there, there might be a problem if there are a sufficient number of them, which perish the thought. I hope not in Nigeria.
One decision, some decisions that would tell you that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is an architect, a very good architect. Even before he starts drawing, he has a mental picture of the bedrooms, the kitchenettes, and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So when he won as the president of the country. All odds were against him. But the God of Zion and Providence took control. And when he resumed, he went around meeting even people who were opposed to him. So his proposal of Godswill Akpabio, he didn't nominate, he didn't impose, he only proposed to those who were close to him for Godswill Akpabio as the Senate president. Was not predicated on political gangsterism. It was because he knew that the government he wants to take charge for Nigeria must first and foremost establish, consolidate, and give recognition to the issue of diversity.
Indeed.
Now, before I used to say, oh,
I hear you.
Used to say, oh, to be FOLARIN, we have only 3 ethnic groups in Nigeria. This is the first time that diversity has been enthroned. And beyond that, he went further to express by his action the issue of inclusiveness. Look at when he appointed service chiefs. Nobody is talking. Nobody is giving credit, regardless of what he has done by breaking the prejudices.
All right. Let me bring in Elder David. Elder David has been holding on for quite a long while. Apologies, Elder David, in Alimosho.
Sorry, Elder David. Yes.
But as a matter of fact, I think we held Elder David for too long, and we just lost him, most unfortunately.
My apologies.
You know, but you see, I was looking for a place, you know, where I could. Actually, we've almost come to the end of the program, and it's been quite informative. That's why we wanted to reach out to your experience in the place, and especially on this last point, of the president clearly had been prepared for the job. We've seen other presidents, and everybody
demonstrating good faith.
Well, maybe that's part of preparation. Maybe that's because you know so much about the job that you have spent a long time preparing. You know you just have to have good faith. Otherwise, the people will see through you and know that you're not being for real. So I made the point, maybe I don't want to overlabor it, that and as long as people also, the excellent gentlemen and ladies that have been elected into the National Assembly, it didn't just drop in their lap. It was something they've been working on before, and they've come to work, as opposed to those who have come in there just for the clout of being a distinguished senator or an honorable member, because we take these things for granted. Very, very, very quickly, sir, because I have to go now. Would you like to comment on that? Because that's the point you made already. We just wanted to be sure that we have round pegs in round holes.
Yeah, what I am trying to say is that all fingers are not equal. But those fingers that are not equal should not shy away from learning to improve on that growth. There's opportunity for growth and development in this country, and we need harmony of purpose. We need institutional integrity and cooperation to be able to build it. But I want to bet that under the watch of Godswill Akpabio as the chairman of the National Assembly and president of the Senate, Nigeria shall witness elaborate and robust constructive engagement with the executive.
Thank you very much, Honorable. Thank you very much, Honorable SMA Eyibo. We're going to have to leave it there.
Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Indeed, please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I am YORI FOLARIN. Bye-bye for now.
Presentation by ShopX TV.
Do you spend the night trying to get comfortable? Your knees rub bone on bone. Your back and hips ache. You wake up in pain? Not anymore. ShopX TV is proud to introduce the Contour Legacy Pillow, the patented, ergonomically designed tapered leg pillow that naturally fits the contours of your legs, knees, and thighs to help align your spine and alleviate pain. Watch, when you sleep on your side, your leg falls forward, twisting your pelvis and lower back, putting pressure on your spine, hip, and sciatic. But the Contour Legacy Pillow cushions your knees and cradles your legs, relieving stress on joints while restoring your lower back alignment. Sleeping on your side, your leg comes over
and puts you out of alignment, causing lower back pain, hip pain, even knee pain. By using the Contour Legacy Pillow, it restores the natural alignment of the spine, helping to alleviate pain and pressure, leading to much more restful sleep. Old-fashioned leg pillows are bulky, but the anatomical design of the Legacy Pillow fits perfectly the shape of your body the way nature intended. You can even use two together for full leg alignment. Legacy Pillow is exclusively ventilated, so it always stays cool and dry. With top crescent design, it cuddles up to you perfectly and easily moves with you. Ordinary pillows go flat, but the Legacy Pillow is made up of soft memory foam, so it never loses its shape and the cover is machine washable. The Contour Legacy Pillow is now available in Nigeria, exclusively from ShopX TV. You could be paying up to 500,000 naira for an orthopedic bed that doesn't properly support your spine. But call the number on your screen now and get 2 Legacy leg pillows for just 69,900 naira and get relief from back and hip issues. But wait! If you call now, we'll upgrade you to the Contour Better Sleep Collection. The collection comes with 2 Contour Legacy leg pillows and 2 Contour Cool Gel head pillows at no extra charge. The Contour Cool Gel head pillows' soothing orthopedic support will cradle your head and neck for full alignment, while keeping you cool all through the night for the best sleep of your life. Incredible! That's 2 Contour Legacy pillows and 2 Cool Gel head pillows for just 69,900 naira. And that's not all. Place your order now and we'll also deliver your Contour Better Sleep collection with no shipping charge. But hurry! This is an exclusive ShopX TV offer and only available for a limited period. So, call now while stock lasts. Your rest is your wealth.
The proceeding was a paid presentation brought to you by ShopX TV.
This week on Know Your Representative, my guest is Senator Dr. Ajibola Bashiru, representing Osun Central Senatorial District. And you know what is popularly called Alubarika? Distinguished, what does Alubarika mean?
It means blessing in Arabic language.
So what's the relationship between you and your constituents?
I would say that we are trying as much as possible to forge a very cordial relationship with our constituents. Of course, there will be challenges, and of course, like every other political society, we are not able to meet all manner of requests from our constituents, but we try as much as possible to meet as much as we can.
So what are your chances of winning the Central District?
Of course, I'm very optimistic. I'm prayerful that Almighty God will make it possible. I'm also relying on the support of my constituents.
Thank you very much for coming on Your Representative.
Thank you very much.
At TVC News, wherever the big news story is happening, we're geared up to break it. TVC News, first with breaking news.
Hello and thank you for joining us on TVC Midday News. We begin this half hour in Ijebu-Ode, Ogun State, where President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is currently on a private visit to some monarchs in the state. The president landed at the Dikbo Dina International Stadium at about 10:17 a.m. in an Air Force chopper. He is accompanied by his Chief of Staff, Femi Gbajabiamila, the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu, and the Special Advisor on Special Duties, Communication and Strategies, Dele Alake. The president was received by Governor Akpabio-Led, former Governor Olusegun Oshoba, and other supporters of the All Progressive Congress in the state. This president left for the residence of the Awujale of Ijebuland, Oba Sikiru Adetona, where he is expected to have a private meeting with the traditional rulers. He is also expected to have a separate meeting with the Alake of Egbaland, Oba Adedotun Aremu Gbadebo, in his palace in Abeokuta, the state capital. President Tinubu's last visit to the state was in January 2023, when his presidential campaign train was in the state. He visited the 4 paramount rulers in the state and party leaders and supporters. Well, for more on the president's visit, Kazim Olowe, our correspondent, joins me now on the news. Kazim, what more do we know at this time about the president's visit?
Well, thank you. This visit happens to be the first for President Bola Tinubu after his inauguration as the President of the Federal Republic, and is visiting Ogun State for the first time. So residents of the state are happy to receive him. He will be visiting 2 zones in the state, and that's the Jebu and the Egba zones. And residents actually stood out to welcome him, to receive him, led by the governor of the state and notable politicians in the state. Even business icons in the state joined the state governor in welcoming the president to the state. The special visit actually is a private one, but president, when he visits the state for the first time, people, they love, they are showing love, they are showing solidarity. So the security arrangement outside the venue of the meeting, which is the private residence of the Jebuland, is very, very tight. Everybody's of security. And same thing in Abeokuta too, where you'll be having a meeting today with the Alake of Egbaland. Monarchs from across the Jebuland joined the Awujale of the Jebuland to welcome the president. And of course, this is happening in Abeokuta, the state capital. Don't forget, Ogun State is a big significance to the journey of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, because his journey to becoming the president of the country. This is the state where he actually mentioned the slogan of Emidokon, meaning it is my turn. And definitely people of Ogun State appreciate that he came out and they also gave him their support during the election. So more will be, we will know more about what actually transpired during the private visit, and hopefully the president will also have the opportunity of telling us more about the significance of this visit to the state later on.
I can only imagine what the mood in the state is like. You have mentioned that residents trooped out en masse to welcome the president. But then, do we have a sense of what the meeting with the monarchs will be? Yes, it is private, but perhaps we might have been hearing some excerpts or droplets about what the meeting is, the focus of the conversation will be, and also people who are going to be part of that meeting. Do you have a sense of who they are?
Well, I can tell you that in Ogun East, where the meeting is presently ongoing, we have a senator representing Ogun East talking about Senator Obenga Daniel, and other notable politicians in the zone are joining the governor. Don't forget, the governor of the state is also from that senatorial district. And in Ogun Central, Senator Ibikunle Amoson, Senator Tolu Odebi, and other politicians in that zone, they are also presently, as I see, at the palace of Alake of Egbaland. So the meeting, where we may not know the of the meeting, but one thing that is sure is that this meeting actually unites politicians that have a bit of differences with their political struggle, because when you have their presence coming together just to welcome somebody and to talk together with that person, it implies that it's going to bring unity, progress, and development in the land.
Now, were you able to speak with any of those who were present with the president when they welcomed him, what their feeling is about the president's deciding to visit the state?
So, well, the mood now, and don't forget, because of the time, the president is expected to have further engagement. So he quickly wants to do one or two things in Ogun State and get over it. So everybody is just concentrating on welcoming the president and having the meeting done. But one thing is certain, that when the meeting is